The monitors hummed softly in the hospital room as if counting time itself. And in that quiet, everything a powerful woman had built stood on the edge of collapse. After the accident, the female CEO lay motionless in a hospital bed, eyes closed, breath steady, her body wrapped in white sheets and corporate armor stripped away. What no one knew was that she was not unconscious. She was listening. And what her single dad assistant said in that fragile moment would fracture her world and rebuild it in a way no boardroom victory ever had. If you believe stories about kindness, second chances, and the quiet power of the human heart, take a moment right now to like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to Kind Soul Stories because stories like this remind us who we really are. Her name was Evelyn Carter, a name that ruled glass towers and executive floors like law. At 42, she was the youngest CEO in the company's history. A woman known for ruthless precision, sleepless nights, and decisions that moved markets but froze hearts. She arrived early, left late, and expected the same from everyone else. To the world, she was unstoppable. To her employees, she was distant, efficient, and intimidating. To herself, she was empty, though she rarely allowed the truth to surface. The accident happened on a rain-slicked highway after another endless day of meetings when the car spun, metal screamed, and everything went dark in a flash of broken glass and unspoken regret. When Evelyn woke up in the hospital, she quickly realized she could hear everything but could not move. Doctors called it temporary, a protective response, but fear gripped her when she tried to open her eyes and failed. Then she heard footsteps, hesitant and familiar. It was her assistant, Daniel Brooks, the quiet man who always stood one step behind her in meetings, holding a tablet and carrying the weight of 2 lives. Daniel was a single father, though Evelyn barely noticed. She knew he sometimes asked to leave exactly at 6 o'clock, that he never joined after work drinks, and that he worked harder than anyone without ever asking for praise. To her, he was efficient and replaceable like everyone else. Daniel sat beside her bed, his presence heavy with emotion he never showed at work. He believed she was unconscious, unreachable, sealed away behind the silence of machines. And in that belief, something inside him broke open. He spoke softly, not to the CEO, but to the woman he thought could no longer hear. He talked about the night he almost quit, the night his daughter had a fever, and he stayed up all night holding her while finishing a presentation because he was terrified of losing his job. He spoke of how he admired Evelyn's strength even when it scared him. How he stayed because he believed in the company's mission and because he needed stability for his child more than comfort for himself. Evelyn lay still, her heart pounding louder than the monitors. No one had ever spoken to her like this. No one had ever trusted her with their vulnerability. Daniel continued, his voice trembling as he confessed how he practiced confidence in the mirror every morning before work. How he promised his daughter that kindness mattered even in a world that rewarded cruelty, and how he hoped that if anything happened to Evelyn, the company might finally learn to be human. He said he was sorry for every time she ate lunch alone, for every late night she stayed because she thought success required sacrifice of the soul. He said he wished she knew she did not have to be alone to be strong. Tears slid from Evelyn's closed eyes, unnoticed at first, then quietly marking the pillow beneath her head. In that moment, her entire life replayed itself like a cold montage of missed birthdays, broken relationships, and achievements that felt hollow in the dark. She realized that while she had been building an empire, she had forgotten how to build a life. Daniel's words were not an attack. They were an offering, a mirror. And it stunned her because it came from the one person she had never truly seen. Days later, Evelyn regained movement. And when she finally opened her eyes, the world felt different. The light was softer, the sounds less sharp, as if the accident had stripped away a layer of armor she no longer needed. Recovery forced her to slow down, to sit with thoughts she had buried under deadlines. She watched Daniel from across the room when he visited again, this time guarded, professional, unaware that his quiet confession had changed everything. She noticed the exhaustion in his shoulders, the warmth in his eyes when he spoke about schedules, and the care with which he managed everything without complaint. As weeks passed, Evelyn returned to work changed in ways that unsettled the board. She asked about people instead of profits. She left on time. She implemented flexible hours, child care support, and mental health days, not as a strategy, but as a belief. Rumors spread that the accident had softened her, but productivity rose. Loyalty deepened and something rare began to grow within the company. Trust. Evelyn never revealed that it was Daniel's words that planted the seed. Some truths were too sacred to expose. One evening, as she stood alone in her office, overlooking the city, Evelyn reflected on how close she had come to losing everything without ever knowing what mattered. She realized that leadership was not about being feared, but about being felt. Daniel remained her assistant, though his role expanded, not because she owed him, but because she saw him, truly saw him. She respected his boundaries, encouraged his growth, and watched as confidence replaced survival in his posture. His daughter would sometimes wait in the lobby after school, coloring quietly, and Evelyn would pause to smile, a small act that felt larger than any deal she had ever signed. Near the end of the year, the company received an award for workplace culture, but Evelyn declined to accept it publicly. Instead, she wrote a private letter to herself, a reminder that the most important moments in life happen when no one is watching. In hospital rooms, in whispered truths, and in the courage to listen. The accident had broken her body briefly, but it had healed something far deeper. If this story is touching your heart right now, if it's reminding you of someone you've overlooked or a moment you've rushed past, please take a second to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kind Soul Stories. Your support helps stories like this reach people who need them most. Before the ending, we have one special request for you. Comment below with the words, "I choose kindness," and let the world know what kind of strength you believe in. Evelyn never told Daniel she had hurt him that day. She didn't need to. Her actions became the answer. And sometimes the most powerful transformations begin when we are silent, listening, and brave enough to change. The heart does not need a title to be strong. And the quietest voices often carry the truths that save us.